Welcome. You are now listening to Click Click Play. Please enjoy. Welcome. You are now listening to Click Click Play. Please enjoy.
Fight!
Hello, good morning and good morning and warada to all you people watching. It's Click Click Play episode 62, the 62nd show of the first of the best podcast in the world ever. I'm the best host could ever have. BiggusBennus. Joining me, as always, is the Ginger Winger Jordan Reese.
62, nice.
Yay. Is there a position, a sex position? A 62 position?
You know.
That's sex with a duck, isn't it?
62, that's
a lollipop is.
advanced.
Can you oh, Jordan. Wow, John is I wonder why they called you Deep Throat. I thought it was because you were a spy.
Is that for the gay community?
Oh, great. We are streaming to the LGBT.
Liking that?
I'm not standing up for a while. Speaking of the gay community, Andre, how was you cancelled a date to be on here?
Yeah, I had to cancel a date to play video games and talk about video games. Great.
Talking to the gay community.
Yeah.
I was
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why did you cancel? Did you actually? What was your excuse? Oh, I'm doing a podcast with a couple of Europeans.
That friend went out last night, and I ditched them yesterday. And I know they had probably a long night. A lot of drugs were done last night, so I wanted to give them a chance to recover before I hang out with them.
What's the deal with has weed been made illegal? Not illegal. Has weed been made legal in the States? I'm hearing a lot of chatter that weed can now be smoked legally. What's the deal?
And my friends weren't doing weed last night, right? They were doing.
No, I'm not suggesting they were.
They were doing
I could tell by the way
poppers.
you said the word drugs. The clean weren't smoking weed, but
it's
kind of related.
It's decriminalized in New York, so you get fined if you carry it, but you don't get like arrested. In California, it's perfectly legal to just fucking. I came back from California and it was so much fun. All we did was smoke weed, and it was.
What's the tax situation? Like if you're growing it and selling it, do you get taxed or?
You get taxed heavy. It's almost like it's like a waste of time to actually go to a dispensary because they tax you so much. You might as well go into like a shady back alley and buy it from a guy who doesn't tax you. If you're a resident of California, you get taxed way less. But if you're an outsider like me, you have to pay an out-of-state tax, which is ridiculously high. I just made my friends buy my drugs. I smoke weed in legal states. I don't smoke weed when it's illegal because that's a crime. And crimes are for
You guys don't know what tax is.
minorities. Wait, what?
You guys don't know what tax is. Don't,
Don't
stress it.
Taxes?
Wait, you're talking to a guy who comes from New York. We have to pay like 7 different types of taxes every day. New York
I'm
is
pretty sure we pay around 60 to 70% of our income in taxes.
That's a bad amount.
Yeah.
With the dispensary weed, how do they regulate like strengths and strains and things like that?
It is literally like walking into like I swear, and I'm not saying this because I like weed. I don't like weed, but I enjoy the way it makes me feel. Anyway, what's it called?
Welcome to the Click Play Game podcast.
I'm pretty sure weed and video games go hand in hand. All right.
Click click smoke.
Like it was so incredible. It was like a candy shop. It was like every different strand, and like right underneath it, it tells you like the description of how it would make you feel. Like all the edibles like were clearly marked how much milligrams of THC they have. And man, gummy bears are the best. I had gummy bears that were a bunch of THC in them, and I felt really high. And I had to go. It was so bad. And like before I went on the plane to come back to New York, I had the rest of my edibles because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking knock out on this plane. And usually when I smoke or do edibles, I just get very drowsy and stuff. But I take a bunch of edibles before I get into the airport, and then it turns out I have a 3-hour delay. And I'm stuck in the airport tripping balls, and I'm just like, oh no, this is the worst. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it was very scary.
Internal bleeding.
Melon, you should try.
I went to go. I went. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say, just introduce quickly. Melon Manon is also here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you heard the voice, but Melon,
I haven't done any drugs today, so I'm good.
no, you have. You've done alcohol. I'm on gin here.
That's drugs, I guess.
Yeah, it's class D in the UK. What are you drinking there, Jordan? Is that whiskey or is it iron brew?
Whiskey.
Oh, nice.
What guy?
Well, Melon was doing poppers earlier, but we don't talk about that.
Oh.
What?
Poppers. I'll show you when we go to Oslo. We go party in Oslo.
Oh. I've done that before.
Is that the one that makes you relax your end part?
Your end
Isn't
part,
it
yeah.
It's fun, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
So, how much Mary Jane did you have? Is that what they call it nowadays? The youth. What's the weed
what?
lingo? Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. They just call it weed over here, man.
Yeah.
In the UK, we call it devil's lettuce.
Devil's
You can grow it legally here in Barcelona. Like you can have
Really?
Yeah, you're allowed 2 plants as long as you're not making so much that it's obvious you're making it for other people. If it's for personal use, you can. Oh, and boy, do
That's
they!
cool.
There's a guy. I opened up the door into the courtyard earlier today, and it was just like, whoa, okay, someone's getting really high. Someone's desecrating Jesus's day right now, getting really high. Okay. But yeah.
Oh,
This is...
wait.
Yeah.
But I also met a new girl over there, and she was
Oh.
So many
Ooh.
girls.
I am. This I think is the last one. I think this is the one.
The
this is
last
the one I'm
girl.
probably gonna
Go to
the last
jail.
girl.
She turned
No.
you, did she?
This is the last girl.
Boys now.
No,
I'm
but
done killing.
I'm. This is the girl I'm probably gonna marry. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Is she the one that you're going on a date with
Really?
tonight?
What's up? Say
Is
it
she,
again.
is she the one that you were going on a date with tonight?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
all right. So-
Brutal.
Jeez.
Oh God, that makes me sound like an asshole.
I'm going to marry this one, but yeah, I just cancelled a date with another person earlier.
For a podcast.
Yeah, for a podcast.
Well, if she's
for
a
fucking
druggie,
video games podcast, and I
Hang
don't
on,
get
For
paid.
this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this fucking mess of a podcast. Moving on. Let's
Quick,
go.
yeah, this is the first Click Play in 2 weeks because from now on we're doing alternate Twitch Play podcasts. So this is the sober,
Good name.
professional one for very serious video game talk, whereas the Twitch one's just a nice podcast where we get loads of viewers.
Well,
So
this is the serious one. Like if there's any word, if there was
Yeah.
any word that I would use to describe the fucking bullshit that we talk about, it wouldn't be the word serious. But
yeah, we've had
I
10
did.
minutes on weed.
I could tune into the one last week, and I thought it was quite a nice show. You had a good group of people, some really nice conversations going on. I didn't understand half of it, mainly because it was about Twitch and feminism. But
yeah.
I thought you all had a good chemistry. Keep it up.
I want to hear you and Flighty have a chat.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Oh,
Sean.
can I say something about that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah. I haven't heard it yet, but do you guys need a cool Twitch play intro? That'd be cool. I can make that for you guys.
Ooh, yeah, Andre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Venmo me $5 and I'll fucking make it for
guys, $5
you. 5 USD.
USD.
I'll probably end up making it. I need to listen to the first episode to get the general vibe of it, and then I'll
God.
make you guys a.
It's positive. We had,
Make
like,
you guys a.
we had 50 viewers for like the entire show. It was pretty insane.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
We'll need- like around Christmas time, we'll do like a super show, and all get on the same
Ooh.
show together.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll miss that fucking week.
Everybody
keeping
gets drunk and drugged out and fight.
Yeah. We did a drunk show
Is it
once.
going to
didn't
be
we?
those same? What was it? Three people? Was it? Is it the same people you're going to keep on it each week?
No, it's
or-
going to change a lot. Flighty's going to join us next time. Mellum hopefully will be there, and we've got Ace, the guy who came in but he wasn't on screen, and also there's one more who is TBA. So we'll find out. But they're all Twitch streamers, so it was just a nice vibe. Really enjoyed it, hopefully. And it's cool. There's so many people that I've got kind of lined up, or they've said that they want to be involved in it at some point. So it's gonna be a nice rotation of people, and it's good for them. It's good for me. It's really good for like everybody, for discovering new streamers and listening to them rather than just having to watch games. Because that's the thing with Twitch. It's not that easy to find new streamers unless it's people that are getting hosted or recommendations. You can just scroll and see thousands of different streams, but it's better. Recommendations are always really good.
They're already? Can you already get? I bet you can because you can get podcasts and anything. But do you already have like specialist podcasts around streaming? So I thought that was quite interesting that you guys were really getting into kind of inside baseball stuff on streaming and systems that you use and wherever else. Is that something that other people are doing, or?
If there is, I've not found them, but I think there are. But I've not. Do you know any of them? Of any
Like I
of
said,
them?
there's a podcast for everything. I suppose
Yeah.
it's whether
Yeah.
that's already successful. That might be a little niche. Maybe you could fill.
Yeah, it actually is.
I might
And
have
it's
to. Yeah.
of course a lot of thing from the background of Twitch people don't want to talk about because it's kind of awkward and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of cool as streamers talking about some stuff that maybe you don't talk with your viewers about, but you do with other streamers. So it's cool to get some like to talk about like what happens if you
Insights.
get trolls and stuff like that. Anyway, let's go into have we got anything just to say? Or, I wrote wrestling, but that was last week. Okay, let's go into the games because there've been a few games out that are pretty good and some that are not so good. Let's go and start. Wait, no, I don't have the game thing. Jordan, you're gonna have to. Can you game it up for us?
God, I need to make that.
Well, it's the game show. Yeah, it's a big game show tonight on. Ooh, it's a game show. Gonna talk about God of War, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is amazing. Oh, I forgot. I was going to start the podcast with a video of you singing, Jordan, but I didn't manage to remember in time. That's annoying. But let's save God of War for a little bit later because I've played some other games. I played a game called Radical Height, which is another battle royale game that came out. Oh wow, battle royale game. It's I mentioned it on the podcast show on Twitch Play last week, but it's a big pile of shit. It's really bad. It's one of the worst games I've ever played. It's really unoptimized.
So this is Cliff's new game, yeah, on the back of Lawbreakers, yeah.
Yeah, the Lawbreakers got cancelled, and they said, "Oh, but actually, this is our pet project." And yeah, you can tell it's a pet project because it's not.
Did they actually cancel Lawbreakers? I assume they did because the numbers were 0, but they actually
They've closed
cancelled it outright.
Yep, it's gone. And then, this is like a game show themed battle royale game where you can, like, you stand in a certain area and it'll open a box, but you have to stand there for 10 seconds, but then you could get shot by it. It's just like really, really badly made. I was doing some duos with a guy, and we were like watching each other by poking our heads through certain surfaces and stuff. And I somehow came third, I think, or like I was like the third person alive, and no idea how that happened just from standing around. It seemed kind of empty. It's I know, it's just horrible. It's a really bad game.
What's like the unique selling point of this? As far as I can tell, it's got like this 80s aesthetic.
It's 80s as money. It's all about money. Like you raid cash machines and tills and stuff inside buildings, and then you can go and buy weapons if you want. But I think I haven't even looked into it because I just deleted the game because it's crap. But I think there's like a premium currency where you can get these gems, but I don't know if that makes the game pay to win, because then if you've got these gems, you've got this currency, can you then go and buy weapons in game straight away as soon as you land? Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Is it 100 players?
I believe so, yeah.
Christ, like that's such a hard way. I know that obviously the battle
Royale
games, battle royale, yeah. So I'm looking for. I like all the rage right now, but that's a really different. Like having 100 players is a really difficult thing to kind of try and launch a game with, because if you've got a really low player base anyway, that's going to suffer.
Yeah.
We're not talking... like if you're waiting ages for a game, you know that there's less than 100 people ready to play with you, which is pretty depressing.
I mean, it's not even it's not in the news section, but there's a game called that Melum and I have played before. I don't know if you played it, called the Darwin Project, which is a 10-man battle royale. It's a really cool concept, and it's pretty well optimized and it runs really well. But they've just gone free to play literally as soon as they came out of alpha. I think it'll come out of alpha. It'll come out of early access. But they've just gone free to play because they weren't getting the numbers. Like the queue times were really slow, even though there were 10 people in a game. So yeah, it's going to be hard to. I think now battle royale games are going to become modes in existing games. I don't see that many like 100-player games being made right now.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I feel like yeah, Jordan.
Go on, pal.
No, but I feel like it's been so popular with arena games, arena shooters like Call of Duty and stuff for so long now. I think that maybe this is the new competitive platform. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about competition, isn't it? Like trying to get your ranks higher, and it's the one that everybody plays now. If you're really into competitive shooters, you don't play
So
deathmatch
I
and
wouldn't
COD.
be surprised if a lot of more bigger companies started to make battle royales.
But Battlefield has that mode, doesn't it, where it's 60 players or 64 players. So I don't like having a mode in a big game like COD or Battlefield. It's a battle royale mode. I'm sure they'll find the numbers. They'll have enough people that play those.
I think it's probably a bit of a mistake to concentrate on the 100 players figure. I guess that figure could be anything. For me,
That's true.
the player unknown kind of secret sauce is the space between gunfights and the tension that builds. It doesn't necessarily matter that there's 100 people around you. It's the fact that you get a little bit of kind of negative space between those encounters. And I think that's where we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where they brought that smaller map in. For me, that goes completely against why I think PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was successful in the first place. It's just become, like you said, Battlefield is already doing that. You've got the conquest mode. There's players everywhere.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt that the next Battlefield will have 100 players, just because that's the thing. But if you've got 100 players, but you're still seeing a player every 20 seconds, then what's the difference between that and a Call of Duty game? I would argue.
Yeah, I was telling Miller Miller as well that
But
apparently
it's the end game that is the thing with battle royales.
yeah, that's the tension.
You
PUBG
will
are
still
changing it.
get it.
PUBG are changing it
whittling the
actually.
numbers down,
So
I guess, yeah.
you can if like loads of people die right at the beginning of a game on PUBG, they're going to make the circle go a lot faster. I don't know if that's out already or if it's in test servers or anything, but yeah, like so if right at the beginning there's loads of people landing in cities and they all get killed, so it like cuts it down to 50 people. If that's the case, then the circle's going to get smaller a lot faster and like speed it up a bit.
That's smart.
It just means it. Like, I don't know. It wouldn't build the tension that Jordan's talking about, but it's still quite a while.
You can't please Jordan. Just ask his wife.
Yeah, he's just quite reasonable today. It's like he's being quite reasonable today. You've got him in a good mood.
Wait, but wasn't Radical Heights like built in like 5 months? Isn't it
feels
like
like it.
extreme? They say on their Twitter, it's like this is an extreme alpha.
Well, just don't
So it's
release
like-
it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it's a bad idea to do this, but it's also like literally
option
nobody's
we have.
playing. Yeah, nobody's playing Lawbreakers. Nobody will ever play Lawbreakers. It's kind of Cliff Blazinski's Twitter is so.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
Oh, Radical Heights.
No, Lawbreakers.
Oh, exactly. Nobody.
Yeah,
knows what
I've never
Lawbreakers
played it.
is. I played it
It's
once.
an arena shooter that uses.
Is it Overwatch?
No,
Yeah,
it's-
it looks like Overwatch.
it kind of plays like a classic arena shooter, but you can fuck around with gravity, so you got some momentum stuff going on and verticality and stuff like that.
So it's
but
like Quake, maybe.
yeah, so I think the plan was to make a new PC arena shooter, but the problem was PlayerUnknown Battleground came along and literally nobody played this one. My guess would be that this studio is in a difficult financial place right now, and they had some assets, and they threw together this battle royale game, hoping that it would catch fire in the same way that PlayerUnknown did. And there was a period, I think, over the last 2 weeks where Fortnite didn't it go down for a period for like there was some server issues?
like
everybody,
1 day or something.
Yeah,
and I
they
think
gave us
everybody
some
did
tears.
jump over. So I bet in that studio they were kind of loving that, hoping it would catch fire. But from the sounds of it, from what Ben is saying, it's not in the States to compete with Fortnite.
Just had a look at Lawbreakers.
It's just making harm to release it so early.
I just had a look at Lawbreakers like 3 weeks ago. The peak guess what the peak number of people across all regions worldwide was that were playing Lawbreakers. The peak in the 24 hours on the 9th of April. So the 9th of April was a Monday. I'm guessing maybe it was over the Sunday. The maximum number of people playing that game was 9.
Yeah,
9 people worldwide playing that game. And it wasn't
it's a fall from
free-to-play.
grace for that guy because he came off the back of he was like the face of Gears of War.
30
Yeah,
euros
the
as
game
well.
for a time,
That's
and then
where I
Lawbreakers
know.
was like his first kind of solo effort, and I don't think that studio is going to be around much longer. So it'll be interesting. It's because he's such a big figure. I'm not that. I don't hate him like a lot of people seem to, but I think it's another example of somebody talking the talk in the game industry, but then not really delivering on it.
But he did make bad games, so
Yeah, screw him.
But like I was saying before, like his Twitter is like, it's kind of like I can't explain it. Like when somebody's clearly embarrassed, but they're not trying to show it. Like yeah,
Like mine.
I mean yeah, it's basically like Jordan's Twitter. He's constantly like, "Oh man, I don't know why people keep making fun of lawbreakers. It doesn't bother me. People who make fun of lawbreakers, blah blah blah." I'm like, bro, like you made a very unsuccessful game. Like it's honestly the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen happen in the gaming industry. Like, I want you to be sad for a bit, man. Like I just want to hear Cliff. He's like such an unrelatable person at this point. Like when he was off the top of Gears. He made Gears. He was on top of the world. He was one of like the most famous. He walked around showing off his car and stuff like that. His goddamn Ferrari that he drives around. And like now he made a game that lost millions of dollars. Literally millions of dollars were lost in that game. And it looked like a cool game. Don't get me wrong. I played it once and it was like very fun. But I was like, I don't like PC games because I'm not a fucking loser. And you know. God, it's just a weird thing. Like it's such a weird. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 are like some of my favorite games of all time. So to see him like making a battle, God, he was such an innovator, is what I'm saying. I know Gears of War wasn't like a crazy innovation, but it kind of was. Like the cover-based
I think
shooters.
the first game was definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a cover-based shooter.
You're still feeling that to this day.
Yeah.
In terms of what it did with third-person combat game.
And then like his next game was just
I hate
a rip
cover
off.
shooters. Why do
now
they
I
have
do.
to ruin fucking games?
Now they ruin them. Now everyone's
I'm not
doing
saying it
them
was the right
poorly.
direction, but it is the direction that everything went.
I like a cover-based shooter. Good old
The
Division.
cover shooter was a good thing once upon a time because it made games more
Tactical.
realistic.
Oh.
Yeah, cinematic as well.
Gears of War was the first game that I saw.
thing, but gameplay wise, for a game, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Why these 3-foot tall walls everywhere?
Hey, Division.
But the Gears of War was the first game that I saw running on probably not the first game I saw running on a 360, but the first game I saw running on a 360, which made me think, holy shit, I need to get a new console, because the PS2 was still killing it at that point, and I'd seen like Dead Rising and something else, maybe like a Forza game or something like that, and they weren't enough to really
Project
jump off
Gotham.
Yeah, that'll probably be it. Then I saw Gears of War, and it wasn't even running on like at the time like a 720p TV was HD TV, but it wasn't even running on that. It was running on my grandmother's old like big fat TV, and even then, like I could tell this is a step above. This game looks fucking crazy, and really fun to play at the time as well. But obviously, that whole fucking genre has been oversaturated, and it's still a thing. Like you said, Ben, Division is still essentially Gears of War. Yeah, poor Cliff.
Yeah.
Pick girlfriend though.
God, you're an idiot.
I completed the last. I completed.
Anyways.
By the way, Hitman Elusive Target update. I finished the last two.
No, Ben.
I did the latest two. I did the latest one in under 4 minutes, and the one 2 weeks ago I did while drunk, and it took 3.5 hours. But I did them. Still such a great game. All right,
Stuff.
Andre, you've been playing You've been playing with sluts or something.
I've been playing. That was a joke. I went to Las Vegas and I lost a lot of money on slots, and yeah, that happened. I lost so much money in Vegas that
on
sluts and slots and and succulents.
Weed.
I bought a bunch of succulents, I guess. I don't know, and weed. But yeah, I just played. I haven't played. Like I've been on vacation, so I haven't been able to play video games since. I played a lot of Bayonetta 1. I took my Switch, forgot my charger. It died on the plane. I was like, oh well, this vacation's ruined now.
It's just USB-C, isn't it? I know you're not allowed to use.
A lot of Android phones use the same charger though, so you should just like ask people on the plane.
I forgot my phone charger as well, which is like insane. I forgot everything.
You need
I was so high when I got
suitcase.
to the airport.
Isn't that the only reason to go on a vacation now? To have a Switch?
Exactly. I know.
I can't wait to explain.
Oh god. Same here. I'm going back in May to visit the girl that I'm gonna marry eventually. She has a show up there, so
a show.
Whatever.
Is it Cher?
A strip show. Yeah, I have to. I get to sit behind this glass. I get to sit behind this glass booth and watch her undress for a whole bunch of guys. It's gonna be awesome, guys. I can't.
And you only have to pay half.
I only had to pay. I only had to pay $600. Can you believe the deal I'm getting?
Ah.
We're basically in love. I've got Bayonetta 1 and 2 installed on my Switch, and haven't played them yet. How does that convert to the smaller screen?
Let me tell you something. Bayonetta 1 is great.
Yeah.
I have a huge problem with it on Switch, and I guess on console as well. It's like the hits don't feel impactful in that game. Like there's something about the rumble or lack thereof when you're fighting. It doesn't feel like you're connecting a lot of the hits you get, and that's my only complaint. I think the game is so much fun. I'm playing it on easy now. I got like halfway through it on normal, and then it got too hard. And I'm like, let me go back. I restarted the game on easy, and now I'm just like rushing through it. It's super fun, super
Can
easy.
you not
on
change
easy.
the difficulty?
You can, but like I just wanted to see like the
Okay.
difference. I wanted to go back and like I'm playing on easy. I'm fucking getting A+ on everything. I'm like,
Mm.
oh okay, I'm really good at this now since I already like beat my brain to shit with the harder difficulty. But yeah, I really like Bayonetta. I'm only playing it because I really want to play Bayonetta 2.
Yeah,
And, like,
same.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited for
can
it.
you see what's going on that screen? Is that going to be okay?
Yeah,
Like, is
it's a fine looking. I mean, I've played on my TV half and half on handheld mode. Yeah,
Okay.
handheld mode, and I prefer on handheld mode. It's like a very like
Okay.
nice looking game. It's like compact, looks clean. All the enemies are distinct. You know where the fuck they are.
Mm.
It's cool. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it a
I'm gonna
lot.
do that soon.
I like it a lot.
So many games
That's
on my
great.
Switch I haven't finished. I really should.
I never played Bayonetta.
Oh yeah, you should. I mean, it was free on X. I have it on Xbox as well. It's backwards compatible now.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Bayonetta 2.
I
It's a
remember
lot
there
like Devil
was
May
like
Cry.
a little argument for everybody that it was Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and God of War. Those
Really?
three really similar, like gameplay wise.
Yeah, yeah.
I know which one wins that conversation now.
Okay.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Before we go on to the main one, we've got a couple of games. Jordan, you played a game, didn't you?
Nope.
I thought you did. You said a game you were playing, and I can't remember what it was now. No,
Okay.
no, you can't. No.
Jordan,
Jordan.
in the notes if I did. Okay.
Melon, have you played any games?
What have I played? I
Fortnite?
forgot to do this thing before the stream. Before.
Why do that?
podcast this
I played Yakuza. Well, I've written Yakuza 6. I played Yakuza 0, but Yakuza 6 is a game that's out, and it's like Yakuza 0, but with a better engine. Just as crazy as Yakuza 0. If anybody doesn't know what it is, it's an interactive story where you beat up people in between. It's like the answer to every single problem is to beat someone up.
Awesome.
And even like some of the side quests, you beat people up, and at the end, it's like, oh, you weren't supposed to. No, you weren't supposed to beat them up, but actually beating them up was kind of the wrong thing to do. If you were there were so many other ways to finish some of these quests. It just feels like, okay, side quest. It's going to involve me moving and talking to one person, going to another person, talking to them, going to another person, talking to them, and then end up beating someone up, and then that'll be the end of the side quest. It's great. It's kind of. That's the main thing in it. We've got some bizarre side quests. You can actually play so many Sega games. You go to the Sega arcades in the game, and I was playing Outrun, Puyo Puyo, which is really difficult in that game. I haven't won a single stage.
Wasn't Outrun in Zero?
Not Puyo Puyo, I don't think. Just Outrun
No,
was.
but Outrun wasn't it?
Yeah, there was Outrun.
Is it
and-
a different Outrun, different arcade version? Or?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it was the same one, but Outrun and there's another one where you control the dude moving around, and there's some kind of monster coming at you, but you kind of float around.
Yeah,
Can't remember that
name of
one.
that game.
That was
With,
really
like
fun.
the dragons flying at you.
Yeah, that was the one I played. But there's also some modern ones. Yeah, there's Puyo Puyo, and I can't remember what the other one was that I was playing that was good fun. But it was a kind of a modern. Virtua Fighter. Like a mod.
Oh shit! Okay.
A really
like
good
OG
looking one.
Virtua Fighter.
I'm not sure, but it looked. No, it was Virtua Fighter something. But it didn't. Like the graphics didn't seem like more than 6 or 7 years old. They seemed like PS3, early PS3 graphics.
Nice.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, no, it's really cool. Also, there's a side quest where there's a side quest where the main guy Kiryu in it. It's his last game, and he's meant to be kind of getting on a bit, and he's getting old, and he's got this adopted daughter who, something happens to her. But then there's also her kid that you're looking after for a while. So you're a granddad or an adopted granddad, but you look really young, and you're able to beat all these people up. You have to beat like 15, 20 people up at the same time. but then it's always emphasizing how old you are in the game. It's like, oh, hey old man, even though I look kind of late 30s, but like, oh, you old man, and I don't understand how to use the internet. And there's one dude who's had an argument with his wife in the street. It's like this side quest, because he'd been chatting to girls on this on naughty campsites, and then the guy's like, yeah, and then so the woman says, "I'm leaving you," and runs away, and the dude's like, "Oh, I'm just so obsessed with them, I'm so obsessed." And Kiryu's like, "Oh, what's that about?" It's like, "Oh, come on, I'll show you." And then they go to this internet cafe. Then there's just Kiryu like sat there tapping a few of the keys and then going, "Oh wow, oh wow, this is amazing." You don't see anything, and then that's the end of that side mission. But then it opens up the internet cafe to you. So you click on, okay, I'll play the internet cam lady game again. I click on it, and it's two busty ladies in bikinis. And then you play one of the games, and you're typing CD messages to this girl who is. It's not rendered in game. It's an actual video of a lady stripping, and you're tapping away the keys on tapping away the buttons, whichever button corresponds to whatever pervy message you're writing. And then they start undressing, and there was a girl with a micro bikini. I had to put my camera in front of it because I had no idea how little she was going to end up wearing. That was fun. Apparently, everyone in the chat just said I was going a shade of pink. If you like that type of game, it's great. I don't know. I looked on the Yakuza subreddit, and a load of people on there said, "Hey, I'm kind of new to the series. What's it like?" And everyone's like, "No, you can't start with this game. You can't start with this game. You must play all of them. You can play every one on Yakuza on PlayStation 4." But no, I played Yakuza 0. I think even at the end of Yakuza 0, it gives you a quick rundown of what happens in the following games, but it tells you straight away. The stories are kind of on their own. Just if you want to play Yakuza, if you're not in a rush, play Yakuza 0 and maybe Kiwami. But
I was gonna ask, do you think the reason that like you're not so hot on this game, you like it, but like the reason you're not like so crazy about it is because you played the other ones first?
No, actually, I think that's the reason why I am really into it. Is because I played the previous ones, and this is like an upgrade. Because I played Yakuza Kiwami, but it's using the same, exactly the same models, and it's pretty much a reskin of Yakuza 0. They're using this whole same engine, and walking around it just feels like it feels like a DLC of Yakuza 0. However, Kiwami, Yakuza Kiwami is a remake of the first Yakuza, which is really a really good game. I'm going to go back and play that. But Kiwami 2, which is out in August, I think it's out I think it's out already in Japan, or it's coming out soon. But it's out in August here.
Where are these Yakuza games coming from?
This is based. The new Yakuza Kiwami 2 is actually based on the Yakuza 6 engine, which is new. And I'm gonna guess there's gonna be an announcement for Kiwami 3. It's just a remake of the original.
Still, that's a lot, isn't it? So we got what have we got on
7.
PS4? We got 0, we got 6, Kiwami, and then Kiwami 2 is coming out. So we'll have 4 of them by the end of this year.
Apparently you can play on PlayStation now. I think you can play them. I think it's Yakuza 4 is like the only one you can't play, or
PlayStation now doesn't count though. So I'm guessing that's the PS3 version that you can stream, is it?
Yeah, but you'll be able to play all of them very soon. I imagine they'll just but this is going to be the end of Kiryu, the main character. I don't know what happens at the end. I don't want to know yet, but I haven't finished it. But there's going to be a new character. Apparently, they're already working on Yakuza 7, which is with a new character. So I imagine they'll try and make a massive fanfare of that and get loads of new people in because it's a totally new storyline. Well, it's fun.
On Netflix, The Outsider. That's the movie you should watch. Ben.
That's the one about the Yakuza.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, but it's about the Yakuza in the 50s.
Sounds interesting.
And Jared Leto.
What the fuck is Jared Leto doing in that?
Joker.
Was
he's
operating in the States?
He's the last samurai of the.
Jesus Christ.
He's the white Japanese.
He's the Matt Damon of the movie.
I don't go into this fucking whitewashing stuff, but that does sound a bit extreme that Jared Leto will be walking around fucking Tokyo in the 1950s. But what do I know?
It actually looks a little awkward with him in the movie, actually.
He's not supposed to be Japanese, is he?
No, he's not. But it's really fun because you get to see like some of the rituals and stuff that the Yakuza supposedly had back then.
Some of the people in
Chopping
my
off the little finger.
some people in my chat were actually saying that
Is that what they're calling it?
there are a few characters in Yakuza 6. Like there's the head of this. I go to Hiroshima, which is actually cool because I've never seen it before in Yakuza games, but it's not just set in Tokyo. You go to Hiroshima and it's like this quiet fishing village.
Hiroshima in a Yakuza game.
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of a small fishing,
Fuck.
like a small fishing village or a fishing city. I don't know if it's a city. I think it's a village, isn't it? But
It's
it's
a fucking grave.
well, there aren't many really old buildings in there for some reason. But I went there and going around, it's just kind of like really peaceful. There's a fishing village area around it. But then there's another Yakuza family there, and the head of it is apparently a really famous Japanese actor who I didn't recognize, but someone was like, "Oh my god, it's blah blah blah," from so many Yakuza films or Japanese films. I really recommend Yakuza 6, but if you want to get into it's a good time actually to get into the Yakuza series. Play 0, you can probably get it pretty cheap if you get it physical. Kiwami 1 is then Kiwami's the original Yakuza, so it's not a really long game, but it'll give you a general overview. Kiwami 2 will be out by the time you finish it, and then just kind of you can read what happens in 3, 4, 5. But 6 does a really good job of like letting you know what's happened in previous ones. And the Yakuza website has an interactive comic, so you can it'll fill in any things that are missing.
You really know your Yakuza stuff, Ben.
I've been really
Yakuza
hyped for this.
fanboy.
No, I've been really trying to kind of because I knew there was so much story I've missed because I'd only played 0 and a bit of 1 that I've been trying to catch up. And yeah, the interactive map. So there's an interactive timeline, an interactive comic of all like what happens leading up to 6. So there's loads of stuff out there you can check. I actually looked.
I gave 0 a good try. I love the mainline. I've said this on this podcast months ago, I think, but I really like the mainline story, and I love the combat scenes. It's just it's the open world city stuff and the stupid side quests that just kill me every time. I just can't do it. I get it. That's probably part of the appeal for some people, but I just couldn't. I just can't do that. And you have to do a lot of the side quests to progress, so I have to put it down. So I don't think that series is for me, unfortunately.
No, 6 I've not done any, and 1's a really short game actually. I think it's like 13 hours, maybe even less. Whereas Yakuza 0 was like a 30-hour game.
So is 0 different to the other games in terms of all that city tracking stuff?
From what I'm aware of, yeah, I think the side quests are optional. You don't have to do them. I've not done them. There's like in 6, there's some kind of side quest that
you did though, right? Like I feel like I had to do the side stuff to get to the next big story progression.
No, I think there's well, as far as I remember, you didn't have to. Sometimes you have to do side quest or like the setting up of side quests or like big. It's obviously do your little side quest, but there's somewhere it'll open up a fighting pit of scantily clad women, or there's one like in 6 where there's the internet person, whereas that seemed to come into the main storyline, but it kind of sets it up and then says, yeah, you can spend more time on that if you want, or there's like the looking after the cabaret club, like a host club. Then there's one where you're like property management. You can deal with that if you want, and in the main storyline it kind of gives you your first mission of that, but then it just says, yeah, if you want to focus on that and do a lot with it, sure, but you can also just carry on the main story quest. I liked it. It's 6 is cool. It's cool. Yeah, but there's a one point where it's like a top-down gang warfare type fight where you control a few of your, like, you recruit gang members and you get them to fight other gangs, but it's like top-down. It's really weird. It's like a mobile game. But you can just play that whenever you want. So that's Yakuza. I'd give it so far a good, strong 8 out of 10.
Shut up, Ben. Moving on.
Yeah, I've played like 15 hours and I've got a general idea of it. I think that's it then for games. So, news time.
News time. I'll hit you with news. Hey, we have a special guest on the podcast. If you're watching the video. Hey, I killed my family at one point, and now I'm fucking over here. I wear the ashes of my children.
Spoiler alert.
Of my wife and daughter, or my wife and daughter. He killed his wife and daughter, right, in the first game.
I don't know. But let's
spoilers for a 20-year-old game.
This is gonna be a spoiler-free talk, by the way, guys, because I've not finished it. Melon's not even as far as me, I don't think. So John's finished it, so be careful with your spoilers.
I haven't played it, so I'm gonna listen and play video games at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Wants
Jordan,
to start.
God of War, by the way, we're talking about.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering, by the thumbnail of the video and literally the title probably.
Yeah.
I haven't played that much. As I said, I'm probably like 8 hours in or something.
Yeah.
Not even that, maybe. And
A lot happens in 8 hours in God of War.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the things I want to take up from like the first 3 movies is that you get a really big, massive boss in the first 15 minutes
Yeah.
in the old trees, and you don't get that in this one.
Not what about that stranger battle? I thought that was epic, and then every single it just built up after. There's a boss right at the beginning with a stranger. That's all I'm going to say. But that felt like a really epic battle for me. But then like later
Yeah, but
you get another one.
it felt really cool that they completely gone another way with the whole series. It's so clear from the first minute you play.
Yeah.
It's like it's not anything to do with the other games.
Have you played the originals, Melon?
Yeah.
Ah, okay,
So
cool.
many times.
Oh,
I was
great.
gonna ask, what's everyone's has everyone played the other ones? Has everyone here played all
No,
three?
I've not played any of them.
My favorite boss is still Poseidon from
Oh, yeah.
from God of War 3.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only
So
played
I've
1 and 2 and half of 3. I've never beat 3.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
finished any of the games. They're not really. I probably like playing those types of games now. Like I'm playing Bayonetta and stuff. But back in the day, I'd look at those games and I appreciated what they were doing because they were always these big tech showpieces and just fucking crazy shit would be happening. If you think about this was PS2 era, like the stuff that was going on in those games, like that, that battle that Melon just talked about, that's fucking insane. They're set on a ship and the enemy is like a skyscraper monster thing, and you're climbing up
Yeah.
it, and it's really cinematic. So I always appreciated them, and I thought 3 looked gorgeous as well. Just these kind of mountain-size enemies or allies that they're kind of the environment. But the character, the story, and the characterization was always a little bit flat for me, and I think this is where this game kind of picks up and does something different. But I've finished it, so I'll let you guys kind of say what you want to say about it, and then I'll go through my thoughts.
Yeah.
I think it's shitty.
Cool. That's one.
That's an opinion.
Ben, what do you
Wrong
think?
opinion. For me, I'm in love. I can't think of a single negative thing to say about it. I love the story, like the writing. I love a game with good writing, and this is so well written. Like even the
Life
comedy
is
in it.
Strange. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like that game, but yeah, not because of its writing. I gotta say, one thing that really struck me and I noticed was the boy kind of his relationship with his dad changing throughout the game. Even like the first few hours, like he starts off being kind of really respectful for his father, and then every now and again he'll say something a bit cheeky to his dad. His dad will be like, "Shut up, boy," and like, "What do you say, boy?" And he's like, "Oh no," but I'm just like he starts answering back and back chatting him a little bit, and I can't wait to see how that relationship develops. But it's obvious that it's developing.
Yeah.
The story's grabbed it. I keep thinking it's grabbing me, and then it grabs me even more. Like the further on, there's one point where you try not to the first big boss you fight is just before you get to a place you're trying to get to. So, I'm trying to make it really like spoiler free as possible, but that was when like the story changed for me. When you find the tree and the head, that was when the story I found really interesting. And it's also when the game opened up a bit and you can do side quests and stuff. What do you think to the battle system, Melon? Because you cranked it down too easy, didn't you? Because you weren't a big fan of the battle system.
No, it's all good. It's just a lot of what's the word? Automation. It's a lot of all the things you do, you can't undo it. You have to. It's like mini cutscenes for every button you press. So no, the gameplay it is really good. It is, but I just got a bit bored of it because it's really easy. So I just turned down too easy, so I can just power through all of it. For some reason, I don't know.
What I'd say to that is the combat does start really simplistic. You basically, like pretty much every melee third-person combat game now, you've got your light attack and your heavy attack. And at the start, I was kind of wondering why have they even bothered having a light and a heavy, because it feels like the light and the heavy take the same amount of time. It's just that the heavy does more damage. But as the game progresses, and there's a lot of it's quite an in-depth kind of RPG system to this as you progress. And you buy more skills, that combat system really, really opens up. You've got so many different options in terms of how you want to go about things and how you want to shape your offense. I think by the end of it, I'm probably guilty of by the end of it not using the depth of that system at all. I've kind of just found what works for me, and I'm just leaning on that. And I'm hoping now that I have finished it, and there's a lot left. There's a lot left to do, and without spoiling anything, you do unlock a particular place in that world that seems like it's literally just set up for you to come back and do more of that combat, which I'm really happy about. I do want to explore more of that, but yeah, I totally get. I probably when I was at the 8 hour point, or maybe a little bit less than that, I was kind of feeling like maybe the combat was a little bit shallow. But as you open up more things, for me, it really shines. In terms of the automated stuff, yeah, there's an element of that. The game goes for a really cinematic feel, but are you talking about like the R3 stuff, or when you like just everything?
Everything, like just climbing. When you're playing really offensively, to try to be really fast about it. The gameplay kind of hold you back because you have to watch all of this animation.
Yeah. Like the game is trying to look amazing first and foremost, and then I think
I totally understand it, but I'm just telling that's the reason for me to put it on easy, because I don't feel the need to have a big difficulty when the game plays. I just want it to look cool. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about that.
I had a bit of a different experience with you, because people in the chat might have noticed last night I was playing it until 6 a.m. and at one point I spent an hour. I was doing some side quests and I just came across an area where these 2 werewolves spawned, and I was kind of level 2. I think most of my stuff was level 2, and these werewolves, one was level 4 and one was level 5, and it was literally 2 hits and I was dead. But I was like the first time I fought them, I managed to get one of them down to half health, and I spent an hour and a half just really kind of honing my skills and learning what combination was great. And okay, if I use the frost attack first, then I can hit them for extra damage and I can stun them. And if he was over in here, I could kick that one off the ledge if I got this angle. But I'd have to really dodge the one that was level 5 first, and then use like just trying to get him stunned. And it was really, really good practice actually for honing my skills for later on in the game. And I've like a game like that, I would never ever play on a difficulty that high, or I wouldn't. Well, I would play it on that high difficulty, but I'd probably just come back later, because I could have done it. I could have just left it and come back later, because I didn't get that much XP or anything special for killing them. But I just went away. I just went and really like focused and spent ages and ages, because I just loved the combat in this game. It felt really. It felt like I could do it, and I just needed to master it. And after an hour and a half, I finally did, and then just sailed off.
It's like in all the other games. I suspect also in this game you're gonna have a lot of different weapons. So I suspect the gameplay is gonna change so much when I get another different weapon.
You don't really have other weapons. Like, you've got your main axe, and the axe is almost a character in the game. They put a lot of attention to it. Like, if you pause the game, it shows you a backwards kind of portrait of Kratos, and you can see that axe, and there's so much detail there. You can even, I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, you can augment your weapons with like gems or whatever to give you certain buffs. You can actually physically see those on the weapons. They're color coded. It's got the whole fucking boring Destiny-esque or Diablo-esque color coding stuff, which is a bit disappointment. But you can actually see those gems built into the weapons, which I love. Like whenever you go into like a shop and the game focuses on you and the shopkeepers, my PlayStation starts lifting off, because you can tell it's trying to render this version of Kratos, which is basically putting all of the processing power into just his character model, and my PlayStation just goes. It's louder than like if I'm in a battle scene. You can tell they just want him to look so fucking good.
It's stunning. Is it like the snow on the top of the mountain? It's just
the trails that you leave,
and like it feels just incredible. So cool. Like, you can, like, good snow in a game. You can tell it's a really good game when it's got good snow. Also, I noticed, and people have pointed out, and I think it's the same with the previous God of Wars, but you can click on New Game and finish the game without ever seeing a loading screen. Even when you click new game, it's actually the background is the start of the
I
game.
think you loaded all games.
You loaded in them, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, this one's
Yeah,
you
I
can
think
play
so.
the entire
'Cause
game
it's,
with no cutscenes.
Yeah, I think you had pretty much
whatsoever.
levels in the other one.
But you do have loading, Ben. It's yeah. I can't spoil, but there's some stuff you have to do, and they put in animation instead of loading.
Yeah, like like the game has to load,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it hides it well.
And there's a lot of time where you think you're staring the Kratos. I also thought I was staring him when I was going through cracks and stuff,
Mhm.
but you're not actually staring.
It's like
Mm.
it's but no, it's saying there's no
You
actual
can
like
just
loading screens unless you die. And
So-
if you die and continue, or if you click on the only time you'll see a loading screen where it's like a black screen is if you die or
Yeah.
if you're like loading a save.
No, it is really impressive, and with the scale of the game, it's.
Have you
really
guys done the
impressive.
fast travel system yet? Have you seen how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
have
love
to-
that.
Yeah.
So
I
again,
didn't
that's basically
understand it quite. I
it's
thought
a really
that-
clever way
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same that they did back in the day with Assassin's Creed.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Shall I like I said, I finished it. I'll just go through kind of my thoughts on it. I guess in terms of what I've done, I've got to the credits. Without any spoilers, there's a soft ending to this game, and then if you go and do something else, which I went and did it, but I totally wasn't prepared for it to be like a hard ending. If you go and do something quite simplistic after the soft ending, that actually brings out the proper credit scene. Before I go into any other details, the fucking ending is fucking awesome. I think everybody that gets to the proper pre-credit stuff is just gonna like just punch the air. It is so fucking cool. So in terms of my thoughts on the game, I think presentationally and graphically, this is probably the best looking console game.
Mm.
I can't think of
my
anything
God,
that does this better. It's like if you think about where we are with PlayStation 4 now, even if you've got a Pro, this is pretty old hardware compared to what PCs are doing these days. This is the type of game that makes me think about why the fuck I own a PC in the first place, a gaming PC, because my gaming
And
PC
why the
is
fuck isn't it any better PC games?
yeah, well, that's like what Sony are doing right now, and what they've done basically since the PS2 era. We're quite late in the life cycle, or midway through the life cycle, however you want to look at it with PS4. And developers are now having to actually think about the hardware that they've got and build their games around it. I think what you'll have with the PC market is, you know what, we'll just build it so that people with high-end rigs will get a really good experience, and people will just make it kind of adaptable to the rig that we've got instead of trying to build the game around the kind of the hardware that you've got, I guess, and the stuff that we're seeing now. Like I thought that Horizon was impressive for me, as much as this isn't as like a really open world game like Horizon is, and you can't move through the world as fast. I was impressed by Horizon. This is better than Horizon from a presentational value and just from a technical standpoint. This game just looks fucking incredible. It's just so clever the way that they've done it.
Horizon got nothing on this game.
I didn't get into Horizon.
Nothing.
Like I finished it, but it didn't grab me as much as this game has. I'm in love with this.
I love
music
Horizon.
is so good.
I love Horizon. When I reviewed Horizon, one of the things that I said about it was that I thought that was the new, like, Uncharted is obviously on the back burner now. For my money, and Horizon was now kind of Sony's big boy. That was because you've got The Last of Us, but I think you might not even see a third Last of Us. The Last of Us is kind of an art house piece that you're only going to see a couple of, and they're not going to overdo it, I would hope. My thought was the Horizon would kind of take that mantle. I'm not sure about that now. I think I think the mass appeal of God of War, this is a game that sold millions and millions of copies previously. It's a game that, as much as Horizon reviewed well, this game is in the top 30 games of all time critically now. I think but I would say that it's probably going to take longer to make the next God of War game than it's going to take to make the next Horizon game. But still, fucking A, in terms of PlayStation's first party output right now, like they're absolutely killing it. This game is insane.
I was streaming this game. One person bought a PS4 while I was streaming it because they were so impressed with it. At least one person went and ordered the game immediately to download, and I know another person who's going to buy a PS4 just because of this game. It's like a console seller. I couldn't believe it. So good.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of we're obviously edge cases. Like we play a lot of video games. We know a lot about the industry and wherever else. And I don't know if it's the same with you, but I get like a lot of people in work will ask me about video games. They'll say, "I've heard this is coming out. Is this good?" Certainly with this game, I've had a lot of people kind of say, "Oh, what's the deal with God of War? Should I get? A lot of people have PlayStations, but I've had the question around: should I get a PlayStation Pro quite a lot? Which I think depends case to case. If you've got a 4K TV, or if
I don't
if
know.
you really want to get the most out of it.
People have been saying playing with the resolution mode, but I've been playing with performance mode, and it's stunning. I switched to the resolution mode, and because I played so much of it with the performance mode, that I was really noticeable, and it was kind of blurry when I was spinning the camera around. So
are you playing on a 4K or 1080?
No, I've been playing this on my monitor, but I'm going to try it on my 4K TV, see what it looks like. But I like a really fast action when I'm playing a game on console.
But the thing is, you're never going to get 60 frames a second out of this game. All the frame rate version does is unlock that frame rate. So I think the Digital Foundry guys, they said it hovers around like the 45 mark, something like that, and obviously it goes up and down. Frame rate is this weird thing where if you've come off playing like a solid 60 frames a second game, a 30 frames a second game looks like trash, but you get used to it. With the monitor setup, I don't know, it might be better to do the frame rate version, but for me, typically I would prefer frame rate, but the fact that this game offers you a really solid 30 frames a second locked and then blows it up to that kind of that checkerboard 4K, for me that was the better option, because this is just a graphical powerhouse, and I just wanted to see it in that resolution. And so many console games run at 30 anyway. Like what's the real difference there? If they were off, like I think
I also go for lower difficulty because I don't have a Pro, so I go with 1080 with the low FPS anyway. So
is it 1080 30 locked?
They say so, but it's lower.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that first, I just keep thinking of that first massive boss you fight, and because I switched a little bit then, and I was turning.
That's my complaint, and I want to ask you, Jordan. The bosses, it doesn't seem that's important in this game. I only played 8 hours or so. The only boss I played is the dragon thing, and I'm disappointed. Is it gonna get better?
What's to find the dragon thing? What are we talking about?
On the top of the mountain, on the way up.
One that okay, cool. So you done it. I thought that was a really cool fight, by the way. That's probably the best dragon fight that I've ever had in a video game.
Yeah, it was cool, but compared to the other God of Wars, who had amazing boss fights.
So it goes less for having these massive bosses, which are the level, and it goes more to a kind of Uncharted cinematic piece. So you might have a fight where you're fighting one enemy who's either human size or a little bit bigger, but actually something else is happening in the background. I'm trying to explain it without giving you specifics, I guess. But you're right. It is definitely a different approach. There's nothing as impressive as I thought the opening of God of War 3 was really impressive, where you're on that tree thing. Yeah. There's nothing really like that, but it's impressive in a different way, I think. And I think with the combat being what it is, it's more of a close-in camera. The one-on-one fights are really cool. Like I would argue that there's, as much as it hasn't got those kind of big spectacle events, it's got some of them. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't punctuate the game with them. I think like fighting the trolls and the big kind of enemies like that, for me, as somebody that likes slower paced third-person combat melee games, those were a fucking joy. And when they throw 3 of them into the mix, and then there's other spawns around you, there's been times where I finished a battle and just like paused the game and just spoke to myself, and I'm just like, that was so fucking cool. You're right. It's a different approach.
As somebody who's not played God of War,
I just think that I got surprised. I'm not saying it is bad. I just I was looking for those big epic colossus.
Yeah. They do the sense of scale in, I think, more subtle ways with, like, you've got, so the world snake thing, which is in the world. It's stuff like that, which isn't necessarily something that you're not fighting these things necessarily, but they're there and they give a sense of scale, and they add a sense of scale to these smaller battles that you're having, if that makes sense. But yeah, I totally kind of get where you're coming from. That was something that struck me as well, even as somebody that hasn't ever finished a God of War game, but I know what those big set pieces were in the older games. It is a little bit different. Like I said, I think that's intentional and part of the design of the game, because it's a slower paced game, I would argue. The combat stuff we touched on earlier, I'm a really big fan of it. Like I said, I've had some so many fights with that game where I've just put the controller on afterwards and just thought to myself that was fucking awesome. So it was surprisingly challenging. I started this game on hard, thinking, okay, this is Sony trying to sell however many million units. They're going to make the normal mode pretty fucking easy and cinematic. So I popped onto hard, got to that first fight with a stranger, scraped through it after a couple of attempts.
Wow, I scraped through it on normal.
Had to just knock it straight down. Because I think this game is at its best when it challenges you, but you get through it. And every time you die, it does feel a bit stilted. Like if you think about this whole philosophy that they've got with a single cut, like every time you die, it breaks that. So for me, dying 5 times in a big boss battle was kind of taken away from it. So I popped it down to normal, and I can tell you this game is still really challenging on normal. Some of the later fights, and it's also got like the level gating stuff, which I don't really understand why that's in there. But there's definitely I've stumbled into battles, like optional battles, where I'm clearly underpowered for it, and the thing just takes me down in one shot, which I think is a bit odd. Well. Like you do get a pop up at one point that just says that explains the leveling system, and it's like, you know, if an enemy is more powerful than Kratos, then this is how you'll know. And I'm thinking, surely nothing is more powerful than Kratos. That's the whole fucking point. Is that he's the god of war. So I kind of think, and I'll talk about that in a sec. I kind of think that's a bit silly. The story and writing is fucking brilliant. I've been getting really frustrated with games recently. I've found myself just skipping through story wholesale. What was a recent? So Far Cry, for instance, just fucking skipped all of that stuff. Didn't want to know. Ni no Kuni, to be fair, quite liked. I didn't skip.
Yeah,
I kind of
but there was some stuff I actually skipped because it was just.
I was only half listening. You know what they're gonna say in Ni no Kuni. Yeah. You know it's just some nice shit that they're saying to each other. You know they're never gonna get fucking. They're never gonna argue. Put it that way.
What do you think to the HUD?
So many games right now, like big, you know, certainly open world games, where I'm just like, I don't care what I don't care what this NPC is going to say to me. They're just going to feed me a mission, and then I'm going to go and do that mission. This is the first game in a good while where I didn't have a podcast on, I didn't have YouTube playing in the corner, I wasn't watching Twitch or something like that.
Twitch?
It was me and this game, and that was it. I didn't want any distraction.
Yeah, what do you think to the HUD being able to customize the HUD? And like you can bring it up if you want just by touching the touchpad, like not clicking it, but
yes. So the only change that I made, and I was really excited because, as you guys know, I'm a stickler for a good HUD. I think again, so many modern games get that wrong. It's a testament to this game. I didn't have to fuck with that at all. I started with the immersive HUD, but I found that was taken away a little bit too much, because it's such as much as this is like a really cinematic game, it's a very gamey game as well. It's very much the ilk of like Resident Evil 4 and stuff like that, you know, where there's always you doing the same kind of things and there's little challenges everywhere. And I think and sometimes you need that kind of visual feedback to understand what's going on. So I think the default HUD is absolutely perfect. The only thing that I changed was the that compass so that it only came up if I touched the touchpad.
Me too.
Just get a quick little view of where I was going. But other than that, absolutely perfect.
I find it useful when do you find the inventory and like equipping runes and equipping this, that, and the other, and leveling up certain things and leveling up your runes and your skills and stuff, that it's taken me a good 10 hours of play. I played this game for maybe 15, possibly 20 hours. It's taken me so long trying to work out exactly what all that's about.
So in the interest of being responsible critics, I have got 2 complaints about this game. One of them is that I think that, and it kind of ties into what I said about the leveling system. I kind of think they over gamified this game. I don't necessarily need all of that stuff. There's so many skill trees and ways that, you know, you can customize your axe, you can customize your shield, you can customize the boy's bow, you can put him in a different outfit, and all that stuff is good. It's good to have customization in the game and different approaches and whatever else. But I finished the game and I still find that stuff clunky and not very intuitive.
Do you find it's for replay value?
Hopefully, but there's no new game plus as far as I can tell.
Not yet. I think it's coming.
Which kind of makes sense. I was kind of hoping there would be one, and then the more I got through the game, I was like, "There's no way there can be," because if you think about what you're doing in this game, it's certainly as part of the critical path, you're unlocking new skills which allow you to backtrack and open up new areas. Yeah. If you've got all that stuff from the start, it's gonna break that critical path. So I don't think there will be a new game plus, but there does seem to be a lot of side content, and like. As I finished that game, and my gear is pretty shit, to be honest. Like if I look at the shop, there's stuff that I could potentially craft there if I go and get all the stuff that I need, which is way higher powered. So that seems interesting, because if I finished it, there must be some there must be some pretty hefty other fights that I need to go and do to warrant that gear being there. And I don't know
In
whether
the
they've got
first
like a
three
DLC
games, you
plan.
felt overpowered through the whole game.
Mm.
In this one, you don't feel that.
Rosie said there's supposedly over 32
no,
hours
probably
of
not.
gameplay if you do 100%. It might even be more than that, to be honest, Rosie. I played 15. I don't feel like I'll tell you where I am, John, if you want to, like, on the main story. Just one thing. I'm going to just two things before I do talk about where I am. I did a side quest, and it was pretty much, it was in a, like, it was just like a dungeon doing it. It's just so bizarre. Like, a side quest normally, okay, fetch this, kill these people, and there are some of those quests, but there was a side quest I had to do where I had to go and collect I think it was a ring off a dwarf that was on the back of a soul eater. But you go through like a full dungeon, and you're doing these different challenges where these like different puzzles where you've got to open and kill these runes and kill these monsters, and then it opens up this other door. It was like it felt like in a normal game that would be the main game, but this was just a side quest, and I love that so much. But for me, the thing I'll let you, John, yeah, is about this.
Yeah. So was that to me?
Yeah, just because I'm going to move on after this. But yeah, if you've got something.
So this is one of the beautiful things about this game, is that it realizes that a lot of games like this will build this big, open, beautiful world, have lots of optional content in there, but then builds a story that is kind of counter to that, like a really intense, dramatic story, which is like, well, why would you go and do this optional stuff if there's this huge thing that you need to go and fix, or somebody's life is on the line, or something like that? This game takes a totally different approach. It's a coming of age story of his kids. But like overall, when you look at
Life
this
is Strange, Andre. It's like Life is Strange.
I know. I heard that. I was like, oh my god! So it's God of War / Life is Strange.
Life is War.
OTY.
Is there a spoiler to say kind of what they want to get done?
It's
Yes.
it's told right at the very, very beginning within the first 5 seconds. It's what you have to do.
Oh,
Okay,
bring
well,
the ashes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, you already know. So
Yeah.
Kratos' wife is dead. They've got her ashes. She's asked. It's all their fault, really. Everything that was in this game. She wants them to scatter her ashes at the top of this mountain. So the whole kind of thrust of the story, and obviously other shit does pop off, but they were going to do this anyway. Him and the child were going to go on this adventure together to take her ashes to the top of a mountain to scatter them, and that's pretty much their goal in this game. It's not that there's this kind of world-ending apocalypse on the way. It's not that they are getting threatened, but that isn't why they're out and about doing what they're doing. So it allows for, and they kind of explore it with conversations between Kratos and his son. You know, in between missions or big story events, the son will literally say, "Okay, so we need to go and do this, but if you want, we can just go and explore." Or we can go and do this. And whereas other games that would feel a bit weird because somebody's like in a dungeon being tortured, there's nothing like that.
The Witcher.
Like
The Witcher.
Sorry,
The Witcher 3. You're chasing after somebody, and they're like, "Oh no, let's do a side quest where I need to go and find and help this person's cart that's fallen over." No.
Yeah. Well, it's essentially his daughter in that game, and that was a complaint that I had about The Witcher, was that why would I be doing these stupid side quest things when essentially my daughter is being, we think she might be dead or is being chased down by these ghost warrior things. But this game takes a totally different approach. It's completely chill with it, and there's these lovely conversational pieces when you're like sailing a boat and you tell stories to your son, so you're trying to teach him lessons and stuff.
And you can go and get off the boat and you can do stuff, and they'll continue the story as you're like, I've done it where he was telling a really interesting story, and then I went and opened up not the normal chest where he just smashes his fist through, which is awesome, but one where he lifts it up and grabs it. But I was like, oh shit, it's going to stop the story, but it didn't. He just continued the story as I was doing it, which was really cool.
The dialogue is superb. I
Yeah.
never played a game where because I thought that happened too, Ben. So I was just I'm not gonna go any further now because I just want to hear what Kratos is gonna tell his son.
Yeah.
So we're just standing.
I just stopped rowing. I just stopped rowing in the middle of the sea, so
I've
they
done that.
carry on the story, and it just looks fucking amazing.
And I like it when you get off the boat as well. It goes, oh, we'll stop there and we'll come back to it later, and then they come back to it later. It's so cool.
Yeah.
There are two voice actors. There's Trey. What's his Troy Barker? One, not the South Park dude. The other one. The two most famous the two most famous voice actors in video games are in it, and I want to know
Troy
if they're
Baker.
Yeah, is it Troy Baker? And the other one is who's the one that plays
Nolan
North?
North.
Yeah, are they the two
Is it?
merchants? I wonder. Yeah, they're both. But it's like it was a
I
total
don't know.
secret.
Ah,
I wonder if they're the two merchants.
sometimes one of the blacksmiths,
Yeah.
he talks filth,
Yeah, I love it.
and yeah, but it feels so out of
I didn't
character
expect it
sometimes.
at all.
No,
Yeah.
it's just like I'm just.
Yeah.
Did you just say
Like-
that?
I
They
love it
drop a
when.
C-bomb in this game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Fact. Yeah.
I love it when they
and
ask.
the F-bomb.
There was one
plenty of
point I was
times.
playing yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, where?" With the kids, like, "Hey, where's your animal?" And he's like he thought it was his pet, and he was helping. He was like, "Oh yeah, just shat it out." And he's like, "I've just shit it out," or because I've eaten. It's like, "Well, you ate it." And it's like, "Yeah, I did. Of course I did. It's food, you asshole." And it's like really rude to the kid, but like in a friendly way, but just like drops all the F bombs and stuff.
It kind of opened the fourth wall for me a little bit, but it was all fun. So
Yeah, because the game seems really
Mm.
serious, and like you're doing all this, and then there's, yeah, I know what you mean. It adds a bit of humor, which you don't expect.
Like typically those NPC retailers I would hate in a game. Like I
Yeah.
would just skip through everything they say and just fuck off. But I thought they were, especially the blue guy that swears a lot. I thought,
Yeah.
because you're right, the swearing was come out of nowhere. Nobody else in this game is swearing. Like they're speaking basically like casual Western, like words and phrases and stuff. But nobody swears, and I would assume there's no swearing in this game because they want to sell it to kids. And then suddenly this guy is like, "Why don't you just fuck off?"
Yeah, to the kid.
And then another character just comes out with cunt at one point.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love it. It's like,
obviously, I imagine they looked at the rating system and worked out how many swear words they could get in to keep it a decent rating.
I love the way he goes. You go to him after a while, and it's like, "Hey, I've got my hammer." And it's like, "Can you see I'm on a fucking break?" He's like, "All right." And it's like, "Now I'm on a break from my break."
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, but it's like
just
good fucking bye, and something like that he says, and he's been nice the whole conversation, and at the end just good fucking bye, and
I think
he's Scottish. Isn't
tying
he?
into that, I think what's nice about this game is that as much as like this is a big game, way bigger than I think anybody thought it was going to be in terms of time and content, but the
Yeah.
cast is very, very minimal. You've basically got Kratos, his son, the you've got two kind of retailers or smithies or whatever else, and then a couple of other characters. So obviously the bad guy, and then a few, like basically two other people maybe. And he keeps that stuff really trim.
Yeah.
You're not just, it's not like the kind of the typical modern AAA game where they can't wait to introduce you to the next fucking zany side character, basically like a poor man's GTA kind of deal. It's just fucking classy in that way. Like it's a game that knows. This is mine. Somebody else come out with this. I can't remember who, but it's a game that knows when to shut the fuck up. And I think so many games don't know when to shut the fuck up these days. And I keep on going to Far Cry.
Yeah.
Far Cry is a prime example of a game that doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. They built a beautiful world, and they wouldn't let you just explore it or take your time in it. They feel like if they don't say anything, or if they don't signpost something to you once every, I bet they've got it on a design document somewhere in Ubisoft. We have to have something happen every however many seconds. Whereas this game is very happy just to tell you, okay, look, we built this fucking gorgeous world. There's intelligently placed things for you to do, and it's completely up to you how you want to go about doing it. I think that just really pays off. It's the first time in a good while where I've felt so invested in a story and the way that it kind of pays off, and it's in such a fantastical setting. I think that's quite hard to pull off. It's
ruining other games
still
for me now, this masterpiece. So I was playing like Far Cry now. It's like, oh yeah, there's all these mistakes. It kind of highlights the failings of all of the games that I've been playing.
I think it's one of those games where, like, can you? I can't imagine going and just playing another Assassin's Creed now.
No.
Like just
Division 2,
and if I do again, it's going to be a case. I've already given up on those things. I'll just be skipping through the dialogues. It's not worth my time. I'm just sick of all that bullshit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a game like Far Cry, just make it a fun sandbox environment that we can all go and play in multiplayer. I don't need your silly stories anymore, because games like God of War and a lot of, to be fair, the first party PlayStation games are kind of coming along and telling stories alongside really good gameplay.
PlayStation hit the ball out of the park here. It's them and Nintendo.
It's unbelievable.
they're alongside Naughty Dog for me now, like with the quality.
Yeah.
This is just in-house, isn't it? What's the name of? Is there an in-house
This is Santa
company?
Monica.
Santa Monica.
Santa
okay.
Monica Studio.
Yeah. What did they make? Did we
Gears
mention
of
this?
War.
Oh yeah.
Wait, really? They made Gears of War? Oh, God of War, yeah. Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
Right.
Hey guys, I actually have to head out right now. Love you guys. I'm glad I could, weigh in so heavily on this God of War discussion.
I hope your girlfriend has come down is not too bad.
You know what, man? You keep her out of your mouth, all right?
Well, that's what she said.
Hey,
Oh
Your
my
wife
God!
you're talking about.
Do you know what?
She gonna keep me in her mouth, you know what I'm talking
Oh no! Bye.
about? Bye, guys.
See
Love
ya.
you.
Bye.
Just looking at the Santa Monica studio, they've made some really strange games.
Some
Journey.
PSP stuff, I think.
Journey. Oh, Santa Monica Studio is the
Wasn't that the studio was so
developer.
hated?
But they made Journey.
I think they've helped out on a lot of games as well.
Yeah.
Haven't they been like kind of?
The Order. They made The
Did
Order.
they make that, or did they just help out?
Collaborated with Ready at Dawn.
Yeah, Ready at Dawn. Yeah.
But internally developed, yeah, it's only looking at the internally developed. It only seems God of War and God of War, yeah, just only God of War games.
Well, you say only like they, there was a big God of War PS3 game. Obviously there's been remasters and stuff, and I think like as much as this game is a massive success, it's easy at this point to just think of like God of War was this B tier game. God of War was fucking huge. God of War was a big system seller for PS2.
Kinetica was the only other game they've made.
No idea what that is.
Yes.
And I played them. It's like I think it's maybe 1 or 2 years since I played. I played through 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And I never played them before, and they really hold up. It's great games.
I've not played
What's
any
the
of
best
them.
one?
This one is clearly the best one. But
This is a different genre pretty much. Like,
this is another game. But the story is really cheesy in the first 3 ones, but it grips me. It did really grip me. I felt for Kratos the whole way through, and I really I liked how he had a little progression through the 3 first games. So you clearly can understand now why because that made me think, because he's really grumpy and he's basically just a bad person in this game, like at least at the start. But you really understand it if you play the 3 first games.
Yeah.
It's like, of course he's like this.
I thought it was really interesting how Jordan ended up buying a book on Norse mythology. I mean, that's how I felt when I was playing Red Dead Redemption. It's one of those games that makes you interested in a whole new genre, and that's what Red Dead Redemption did to me. Actually, I was
like I've always
Westerns.
quite liked mythologies and stuff like that anyway, and obviously Norse is such a big one, and Norse mythology is a big kind of through line in a lot of Final Fantasy stuff. So obviously you got so you got Midgar in Final Fantasy VII. So and you got Ragnarok is the ship in Final Fantasy VIII. There's a lot of Norse.
Niflheim.
The summons. You got Odin in Final Fantasy and stuff like that. So I've always been interested, but yeah, I think the way they handle the mythology in this game really pays kind of tribute to it, and which really got me interested. So I bought a cool looking book on it, which I'm going to go through, and I think it'll probably add to the game a little bit, hopefully. On that note, this game clearly sets up another trilogy, or at least I'm assuming a trilogy, or at least more games. Again, without spoilers, you'll get to the end of this one, and I think, well, at least the way I think about it, this is nothing in terms of what they're setting up. This is just an introduction to this lore and Kratos' place within it. If you think about what that grander lore is and what Kratos gets done in this game and who he interacts with, they really set up what could. And if you look at what happened with the previous trilogy in terms of the way that narrative went and who the adversaries were at different points and things like that, I think you can get a decent kind of understanding of where this is going to go.
I know where this is going to go.
There's right at the end, there's some twisty stuff. That's kind of subtle, and I haven't had a chance yet because I finished the game and then just had to do like live stuff and then came on this podcast. But it's one of those things where I can't fucking wait now to get deep on the internet and get into Reset Era and get into Reddit and find people that have finished this game, if there are any, and start talking to those people in terms of more intelligent and more, literature focused people who have looked at what the implications are of the stuff they tell you towards the end of this game. For like the simple stuff is where like there's a really simple kind of connotation of where this game ends and what it suggests the next are going to be. But there's some more subtle stuff as well, which I haven't really got my head around. Timey-wimey stuff it throws in at one point, which I didn't expect with this game.
Maybe we could have a spoiler cast at some point to like a special God of War.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Interesting
Like,
to talk about.
it's been a long time since I've been and it's a fucking God of War game, but I'm really excited about the lore right now. Like, really excited. They do a very good job.
Are you going to do a review?
Can you play the 3 other games on PlayStation 4?
You can play 3, the remaster, and then I'm guessing the other 2 would be on PlayStation Now.
Yeah, but I think it's maybe like they made
Did they do a
No, I
remaster?
don't know if they did.
by a ported version or something.
You can probably play them on Vita. I don't think you can play them on
Yeah,
PS4.
maybe.
There's like a
It's
throwaway.
7 games on the PSP, but
There's a throwaway. Have you played the 2 side games, by the way, the portable ones?
I want to play the prologue. It's that's the one that was
Ascension, is
released
it?
before this one.
Kings of Olympus, is it?
Yeah, extensions.
Ascension?
Attention. Yeah, that's the
Ascension.
word.
Extension.
Oh yeah, you've got the one after 3 as well, haven't you? Shit, I forgot.
yeah. But I haven't played that one.
Is this going to
Okay,
get me interested in? I'm going to go
So there's
and
a
play
throwaway when you're doing like part of the main quest, and you're in, you know, like when you're just exploring and you can interact with things. And the sun is obviously, I say obviously, you wouldn't know unless you played the game, but the sun is Kratos is from a different kind of mythology, a different world, and the son has been brought up by the mother who knows this mythology very well, and she has told him a lot about it, from just in terms of bedtime stories, but also I think in
Yes,
foresight for the challenges that he's gonna face. He knows a lot about this world. So Kratos will often, and he can speak a lot of languages as well. He's very gifted with languages, and throughout the game you learn different ones. God, this game is so good. But there's a part, there's just an exploration part where you're kind of walking around and you can press square on this particular few items, and there's a throwaway line that the son says, and it clearly sets up other games in terms of where this could go, which I won't say specifically kind of what I'm getting at, but if you think about what was happened between this first trilogy and this one, there's an implication in this game of where this story could potentially go after this. Makes sense?
Odd that.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to make a mention of when we were talking about gameplay is
You
that I
mean them
noticed...
to the Mormons?
Yes, to the Mormon Church.
Yes.
No, they're going to do, I think, so they'll do what I'm talking about next, and then after that, I think they'll do the Abrahamic religions. So they'll start off with you beheading Jesus. There'll be a Muhammad sub-boss. And then eventually, in the third game, you get to do a QTE action scene where you rip out God's eye.
I'm looking forward to what's the religion that's so popular in Tom Cruise?
Scientology.
The cult.
Cults, yeah.
That's gonna be great.
Xenu.
Well, I was trying to say this with the battles. I love the first 5 people that I faced. All the first 5 or 6 different enemies, because there's enemy types are totally different. I just love the fact that every one requires something totally different on how to beat them. And there's the ads, the ones that you just kind of hit, where you can just keep whacking them and they go flying up in the air. They don't even touch the ground before you've killed them. Then you've got some that they've got like the ones with like double or triple health bars that you really can't let them hit you even once. So you just have to be really sluggish, wait for them to hit and then go in and attack them. Then you've got those blue dudes who you can't even hit with your axe. You have to punch them and then you can use your special power. And you've got these like the trolls. It's just then there's the ones that fire projectiles, so you got to throw your axe at them. I just love how it's such a variety of enemies, but not just a variety of types of enemies, but how you're actually meant to and supposed to fight them, which I'm not used to. Which is I thought it was really, really clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm at the hammer section, Jordan. Am I like anywhere near halfway or?
I don't know, because the game kind of stretches a little bit depending on the side content stuff that you do. So when it was towards like the first half of the game where it's all fairly chilled and they're just getting into a bit of bother, but realistically they're focusing on their quest.
Yeah.
Every side mission that I got, I was pretty much going and doing, and then like halfway through where the plot gains a lot of momentum and there's some gravity around what's happening, then I just through-lined it.
Yeah,
So it depends, I guess. It depends if you're going to do it that way or if you're going to try and complete everything before you actually finish the game. But what I will say is this game does a really good job of finishing things off.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I was just having a conversation with somebody outside of the podcast or whether it was on a podcast previously, but I've got a real fucking issue with these big it's not really an open world game, but these kind of open world games that you get to the end of it, and then like it doesn't know how to deal with the consequence of the game ending, so it just kind of gives you a file just before everything finishes. So Ni no
Yeah.
Kuni does it. Mass Effect was terrible for it. Loads of games do this.
Witcher.
Far Cry did it really poorly. This game does like everything else in this game is so well considered the way that they do it. The game ends. You get to the end of this game, and then
What
the
did you
game.
mean about the ending of Ni no Kuni 2?
So Ni no Kuni, you can finish it, but in terms of exploring the rest of the world, you've got a save file before the final boss.
Oh,
Very typical. Very typical
Yeah.
for a JRPG. There's nothing against that game, but I would always prefer it that you go and beat the big final boss, and then you can go back and don't get me wrong, I understand why games do it. There's a lot of like the whole game has been built up with this world fearing whatever bad shit is going down. It's a lot of resource to put into it to then change conversations and stuff with everybody so that they're like, oh, well done, you've done it. This game does it. Obviously there's not a lot of NPCs and stuff in this game, so but the fact that it does it, like that isn't the standard with games right now. This game properly ends. It's got an absolutely beautiful ending. It's got a soft credit roll, and then it just puts you back into the world. And I just happened to go and do the thing that gave me the hard credit roll. It's a fucking awesome scene, but then the game, in a very nice way, kind of spits you back out post ending. So post you doing the last.
The hard ending.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like Fable.
no.
I think Fable did that.
So you've got the soft ending, which doesn't close the game down. It's kind of in game. It rolls credits on the game, and then you can just go and do whatever. The game doesn't. You're still in that kind of one cut. Nothing has changed, and then it puts you back into the world. And the creators are just like, well, there's lots of things we can go and do. I happen to do this one thing because I was like, right, I'm going to put the game down. I'm just going to go do this one thing. And by doing that, that triggered that hard ending, but it doesn't then spit me out to a menu. I got like a 20, and this is like one of the longer credit scenes I've ever seen, by the way. But I got a really long credit scene after the really cool ending, and then the game doesn't just spit me out into a menu or make me load another load file. It keeps up the high presentation value and then puts me back into the same place as that soft ending, basically. But also takes into account the hard ending, which is really weird without you actually seeing it. But it's perfect, absolutely flawless.
I think Red Dead
Redemption
Redemption did that, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, Red Dead is a key exact. Like that's how you end a game.
Because that's also got a hard ending when you're getting redemption. You know, you're getting vengeance.
Yeah.
With the dude by the river, and then it continues.
So kind of where I am now with it is
it was like you could just keep playing after you done the game, and everybody was just like, yeah, you're the hero of the world, and
yeah, fuck yeah, what, like it should always be like that. That's what Mass Effect 3. Like I'm an apologist for Mass Effect 3, but the way they ended that game without you being able to like get your dick sucked by so many aliens and go get a medal and just be like, I'm fucking Shepard. Like I'll go back to the Citadel and everybody loves you, but no, it has to have this artistic shitty ending and then spits you back out pre kind of the final mission, so the universe is in the same state that it's always been in. It's just really annoying, but God of War does it right. I mentioned earlier I've got two minor complaints about the game. One of them was just I don't think that the upgrade stuff is necessary, or I think it could have been done in a different way that feels a little bit more intuitive. I still find it clunky even 30 hours or whatever into the game. My other complaint is that it does a lot of amazing cinematic stuff, kind of meld in your gameplay into the cinematic stuff, very much like Uncharted, where you'll be in the middle of a fight and suddenly something changes, and you're fighting elsewhere, and there's you guys know what I'm talking about, yeah, like the cool cinematic stuff that happens.
Yeah.
I think Uncharted does a way better job of making you feel like you're in control of those moments. That kind of spin-off Uncharted game that came out like last year.
Oh, that was so good.
The vehicle chase that they did at the end for me was magic, absolutely magical. There was literally things that were happening in that felt like it literally felt like I was controlling a cutscene. So it looked like
the whole thing.
It looked like a cutscene, but I definitely felt like I had some kind of control on it. God of War has moments that feel like that, but it doesn't let you have control of it. And
If you
sometimes
try to put your controller away, you're gonna find really fast out that you don't have any control.
Yeah, yeah. There's some moments where the cutscene is just Kratos punching somebody, and it's inconsistent because sometimes it'll want you to punch them by pressing R1. And if you don't do it, he doesn't punch. But then other times it's a full-on cinematic, and I think they could have done a little bit better in terms of making you like. There's some bits where you're running away from a crumbling building or something, and in Uncharted you would don't get me wrong, it would still be directing you. But in Uncharted, you would still be in control. This game takes control away. It doesn't master what Naughty Dog has mastered, which, to be fair, it's Naughty Dog. But yeah, very, very minor complaints from me. I think.
Another beautiful thing to add to the list: the map. It reminds me of Game of Thrones. The intro. It looks so beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's not very usable.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think it's useful. But it looks beautiful. And also, I don't know.
For me to give this game 10 out of 10, I just need more information about the mother. And that's it.
The mother. Oh, maybe you'll get that later.
Yeah, hope so.
We'll see. Anyway, are we gonna be? We'll stop John before he says anything. Shall we move on to the news?
Yeah.
Oh God, it was so good. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This is gonna be a long podcast. Okay, news, Jordan.
Do we need a song?
We need a song. Yeah.
Don't want. No, it's just do it. Let's just do it.
News time.
Okay. Countdown.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Bit of news for you then. So sad news. Dark Souls Remastered has been. Okay. So that's reminding me of something God of War. So
God of War on the Switch. It's been announced on the Switch.
Then, yeah.
Yeah. I love
that. Did you look down and you could see like the places that you've been?
Yeah, the red area and there's like a yellow circle and all that stuff, and yeah,
you could see the forest place you went to. You could see the actual main, whatever it is, this thing you go to all the time.
Yeah,
and you could see the world snake and stuff. That's a total Dark Souls moment where it shows you where you've been. So that was really fucking cool. Anyway, Dark
I spent
Souls
ages
Remastered
up at the top of that.
Yeah,
at the top of that, I
Dark
spent
Souls
ages
Remastered.
Sorry, yeah.
What?
I spent ages just at the top of that mountain where we were, like looking around and playing with the snow. I was just like, oh my god, that was like a kid. Somebody clipped and said it's like he's seen snow for the first time.
Yeah, spot on. Dark Souls Remastered for the Switch has been pushed back slightly, so it won't be launching alongside the PS4, Xbox One, and PC versions on May 25th, I believe. It's been pushed to a vague release date of the summer. The Dark Souls Twitter tweeted out a really ominous kind of tweet saying due to causality. It's been
I heard they can't get enough.
The nature of causality.
I heard they can't get enough cartridges. It's down to that.
Okay,
but it's shit. It's terrible. That's really bad. I think.
Is it?
Because people are not going to get it on the Switch. Then they're going to get it on PS4, and then they'll be like, "Why am I going to get it on Switch?"
I'm going to have it on PC anyway. So.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but there's lots of people who are probably going to get it. Yeah, I bet there are lots of people who are going to get it on Switch now. Going, no, I'll get it on PS4 or PC.
Go back a year, and if you told me I would kind of like to play Dark Souls on the Switch, I would have laughed at you. But after how good it's been with like Rocket League and some other games, I'd probably quite like to give it a go. But if you want to, you won't be doing it in May. Games that are coming out, there's a Shenmue remaster that's been announced. So the first two games, or the only two games that have been released, those are getting remasters. I think it's sometime this year. So that'll be interesting. I'm kind of on the fence about this. Like I've played.
Is that bad game that everybody wants?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. So I think this, in terms of games aging poorly, I would say that, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be bad. They're modernizing the controls and stuff, but Shenmue's very of his time.
Yeah, can I say it's not a remaster? Apparently, it's just a port. Like they're not.
Surely they're touching up the graphics a little bit. They'll have to. It's like 480p or something.
Well, what I've heard is that it's not a remaster. It's pretty much just a port. So
I assume it'll be up-res at least. They'll need to put it to 1080p. I've got to assume that. You can't release a PS4 game at Dreamcast resolutions at this point. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I don't know if it's something I'll play straight away. And to be honest, I think those will be really frustrating games to play in 2018. But I do like the fact that it's like this kind of legendary, almost like mythical game or two games. I like the fact now it's just going to be on modern consoles, and if people want to play it, they can play it. And it might change people's minds about the third game as well. I think maybe a lot less people will be clamoring for that third game, I reckon. But that's cool. I like that news.
It's
Do we
same as
know
it's
anything else about Final Fantasy VII remake?
they hired
I think
people.
they came out with some bravado this week saying that they're aiming to beat the original one, which doesn't sound like a good stance to me. But
Didn't they lose a load of people, or they rehired, or something?
it's been weird. They were initially outsourcing it, which is really worrying.
Yeah.
Why would you outsource that? And then they took it back kind of to their major studio. So I don't know the ins and outs of it.
PlayStation.
I quite like what I've seen. And since
Fucking
I've
the
played
first trailer was amazing.
If it's a Sony in-house game, though, they've got form. This God of War.
Yeah.
This seems like
So
PlayStation.
sad if this goes south.
I don't think it would. I don't think Sony would let it.
What's it got to do with Sony?
Isn't it Sony that's doing it? We say Sony in-house that are doing it.
Doing
It
Final
is.
Fantasy?
Yeah. No.
No.
Oh, Square
No.
Enix, of course, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm meant to think that. No, it's just it'll be.
It'll be. I don't even know if it's coming to. It might even be coming to PC day one, or I think it'll be like a Final Fantasy 15 deal where it'll come to PC at some point. I think
In my head, it's
PlayStation has
always
the
PlayStation,
console
yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah, in my head, it's
I
always
also
PlayStation.
thought it was a PlayStation exclusive.
I think you're thinking that because of so
was
Sony
E3.
published the initial game, yeah. So that's why you'll never see like Final Fantasy 7 on Xbox. Because Sony published that game. There's some kind of legal stuff there where they don't own that IP, they don't really own that game, they couldn't sell it on in any way without Square kind of agreeing to it. But I don't think that. Same with original MGS. Again, Sony published it. You don't see that game, like considering what MGS is, you don't really see that game getting released on kind of anything that's competing with. Well, you don't see MGS getting released on anything, and you see Final Fantasy getting released on like Android phones, but you don't see that on Xbox because Sony would say no.
That's
There you
gonna
go,
happen with Final Fantasy as well. Then.
Well, with the remake, because they won't be publishing it, obviously that's up to them. It's up to Square what they want to do. So I would assume you'll see it on PS4 for an exclusive period, and then or PS5, and then you'll get it on an Xbox at some point if the Xbox brand is still a thing.
Isn't
next bit of news.
Shenmue's a Yakuza like world, isn't it? It's like what influenced Yakuza, but it's like set in the same world, so I might have to give that a go. Although I hear like
Is it set in
Shenmue
the
seems
same
to
world?
split people. Yeah, I heard it's
You mean
like
Japan?
no, but it's set in the same kind of universe. I wonder if there'll be any crossovers in the
Final
third one.
Fantasy and Yakuza.
No, Shenmue.
Dark Souls.
No, I read that like I wonder if there'll be any crossovers with characters with the third Shenmue.
Ah, cool.
Interesting. Yeah, next one. Next news.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same universe. I don't think that's true, but it's. I would say, thinking about it, yeah, I would guess that Yakuza. Yeah, Yakuza's kind of like that. It's kind of got the RPG-esque kind of conversational stuff as you walk around and just talk to people, but also a kind of quite a deep combat mechanic. So Shenmue's combat is basically QT events, which at the time were pretty cool. Now I imagine they're fucking janky as shit. But yeah, we'll see. Next bit of news: Campo Santo. So these are the guys that made Firewatch, and they're making that really cool looking. I don't know what the name is. What the one where you've got the two ladies exploring ancient Egypt.
I
That was
know.
a really cool trailer.
It's VR, isn't it? Or it's going to be available in VR.
Well, I don't think it was advertised as VR. But you can imagine. Is Firewatch on VR now?
No, but it,
Seems like it should
it
be,
might
it's
be.
not.
Yeah, it's coming to
Yeah.
Switch apparently.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that next. I liked Firewatch, not as much as I wanted to, but I really like Firewatch. Probably like it more than most, I would think, based on what people told me. The next game has a really cool trailer. It's two ladies exploring like Egyptian ruins, which doesn't sound all that interesting in itself, but it was just the tone of the trailer I thought was really cool. And now Valve have bought them.
Valley of the
which-
Gods, in the Valley of the Gods.
Yes,
Name.
that's it. So that it's interesting. It's a recent thing, so obviously speculation will be rife on that. Bit odd because Valve have been so reluctant to really play a part in games versus actually distributing games. Could be something to do with their VR efforts, I guess. If they've had a preview of that next game, and so they had a preview of that game and they think there's something special to it, or they really like Firewatch and they want that to be some kind of exclusive on the Vive potentially. That's kind of where my mind's going. I can't really think why else they would be buying studios at this point. But weird bit of news, but cool all the same. And I really do look forward to that game.
I'm looking forward to it. People think it's going to be something to do with VR as well. Like they're going to use that company to make those decent VR games. Hopefully they'll bring Firewatch to VR because I would happily play that in VR. But it'll probably be Vive exclusive now. And apparently the new game in the Valley of the Gods is going to be released as a Valve game. It's not going to be released as their name. It's I think the name of the company.
So are they just gonna eat that studio up then? And that would make sense actually. I can't imagine why would they just be publishing under a different name. I would imagine that it's just the people become Valve employees. I guess.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Lucky them.
Yeah.
Got some money, but they get a bit of a pay rise.
Maybe they're making Portal 3.
Or Half-Life 3.
Next bit of news. So Yoko Taro, that chap that makes Nier, I think he's the guy that walks around the big moon face mask, yeah?
Is he Kojima's love child, or the part of Kojima's soul was used to make this man? He seems like a mini Kojima, or a wannabe Kojima with his bizarre games.
He's the guy that wears the mask, right? I gotta assume the main guy is the guy that wears the mask. It's not some other guy that wears the fucking mask thing on stage. Is that right?
Probably, yeah.
Yoko Taro?
Isn't it the girl that's the main?
Main what?
I know.
I don't mean in real life.
Oh, okay.
Real
is
life
it the dude in mask in real life?
Yeah, he just turns up to events with this the Nier Automata mask on.
Oh,
giant head.
Fucking hell.
Weird.
I really like the guy. I think he's when he said and people hated this comment when people asked him about why 2B was dressed the way she was, and he just said he likes having scantily clad girls in games. He's done a similar comment where he was asked about a Nier Automata sequel, and he said, "You know what? If Square Enix gives me money, I'll make anything." So I just
amazing, dude.
He's just like,
yeah. It sounds like the dude that made Shadow of the Colossus games.
Yeah,
also like that. Like when people say things, no, just take whatever you want from it.
I was delving into some Reddit threads and people were saying how cool it would be if he was if he was in charge of the next Final Fantasy. How bizarre and how crazy the story is going to be. I'd like that.
Maybe it's finally going to give us a good Final Fantasy.
Oh. Best one since 15.
Next bit of news is a rumor, but it seems to be pretty much confirmed at this point. So a lot of people talk about the fact that Black Ops 4 won't have a single player campaign. And also that it'll have a battle royale mode.
What is
Black Ops
4?
1, 2, and 3 didn't have that either. For me, at least.
I think but it was an optional mode, Mel. It was there. So yeah, this is something that I've been talking about for a good while. I think Call of Duty's kind of missed the boat, but for them to stop the early releases, make themselves a platform, get away from the single player stuff, lean into the multiplayer, and it sounds like they're either doing that or they've really fucked up and they're not going to get the single player campaign out. As much as Call of Duty sells ridiculous amounts each year, it's clear that they've lost a lot of the mind share in terms of the hardcore crowd. And if history tells us anything, it's that when that happens, the majority will follow at some point. So they know that they need to do something. I think they're probably just looking at, if they're just looking at Twitch as a piece of data, like everybody's, I don't know, you'll know better than me in terms of how many people are playing Call of Duty on Twitch, but realistic, I know that it's not in the top whatever, like the top 5 or whatever else. That's people playing player unknowns, people playing Fortnite. So they must look at that and think, you know what, we're not the shit anymore. In the same way that Halo was the shit before them, and they became the shit. They're no longer the shit.
It's actually the 10th.
And they need to do something about it. So I think I'm hopeful that this is a conscious move by them.
It's 10 guys in the Baltic that streams Call of Duty still.
Looking at this Call of Duty, I was about to say it's the 10th highest one. There's 35,000 people watching, but 32,000 of those 35 are watching some kind of tournament, Call of Duty tournament. So that doesn't really count.
Which lends to my point that the future of this game lies in the multiplayer component, and spending millions and getting Kevin Spacey on board, awkward, and things like that. That isn't the direction this franchise needs to take. They need to think about what they can do to stay relevant, and I think getting rid of that campaign is going to save them a lot of money, a lot of time, and also all those.
How can it be a sequel to Call of Duty? How can it be a sequel without a campaign? Like, why did you call it Call of Duty and then the next one Call of Duty 2?
So that's what makes me think that this wasn't a decision that was made necessarily at the start of this game being developed. I think it definitely feels like it's something they've done on the fly, which is a little bit worrying. You'd think that, one of the biggest game franchises on the planet would have a bit more foresight than this. But I suppose when you're trying to release a game every year, this is the situation you could potentially run into. But I think in the long run, hopefully it'll work out for them. Like, I've never played a Call of Duty game, I've got no interest, but at the same time, I respect it from a business angle, and hopefully this is something that can get them a bit of momentum. And I do want to see what these big AAA studios can do with the battle royale concept. PlayerUnknown has failed to really kind of run with it. They've dropped the ball a little bit, and I'd like to see a more mature version than Fortnite. So between these guys and whatever DICE are going to do with Battlefield, hopefully we'll see something really cool and polished come out. But we shall see. You've added a little bit of news around.
I just go back to that. I mean,
PlayerUnknown map choice.
I about to say the latest Call of Duty is the first one I've not actually played the campaign on, and the multiplayer is great. And if they're gonna with Black Ops 4, if they're gonna really focus on the multiplayer and make that really good, then I'll probably end up getting it and playing it. But
it's
weird though.
I think they're gonna make the Black Ops 4 this time. I think it's just because Black Ops 1 was the last game they made that sold well. That was their peak, Black Ops 1, and that's the best multiplayer game they ever made.
But did World War 2 not sell well?
I'd say all their games sell well. It's a Call of Duty game, but
maybe.
It's definitely plateaued, isn't it?
Was clearly a peak at Black Ops 1.
I thought World War II did good numbers for them, but that makes sense that that was kind of they probably spent a hell of a lot of money on that game, and it was kind of a bit of a series relaunch by going back to World War II. But I would imagine they know that doing another World War II game isn't going to do it for them. They've definitely plateaued. They need to change direction. They're probably looking at the numbers. They know how many people are playing the campaign. When people buy the game, do they play the campaign at all? And the people that are spending kind of added value money on these games, which I'm assuming Call of Duty has, I'm guessing you can plug more money into these games after you've bought it. All those people are going to be the multiplayer people. So, and at the end of the day, like, I think Call of Duty was amazing in its time in terms of changing up the first-person shooter genre, just in terms of mechanics, but also in terms of the cinematic stuff.
You can't really Counter-Strike's gameplay really well and made a better game. So
yeah, but the cinematic stuff, I think you can't understate what Modern Warfare did in terms of kind of bringing first-person shooters back to the mainstream. But how many years ago was that?
I wonder if they'll do stuff like, because
Wolfenstein did it 10 times better on their first try. So
I can imagine like Black Ops 4, like maybe the story mode is going to be in the multiplayer mode. Like they've got War mode in World War II. I don't know if you've played. I think it's called War, where it's like you're pushing with a group of people, then you get to this section. It's a bit like in Star Wars Battlefront, where they have you're pushing something and you get past certain areas, then you've got another task to do, and then there's another thing to do. I wonder if it's going to be like that. Like that'll be like their story part, if there is going to be anything.
Hopefully. It doesn't seem like they thought it through because, like you said, it's Black Ops 4. It shouldn't be Black Ops 4. I think they probably should have launched with a new kind of subtitle to this, if this was the direction that they were taking.
You have to remember after Black Ops 2, they made Ghost, who sold shit and everybody hated. And then they started with this stupid advanced warfare and stuff, and everybody hated us on it because it was too like you can jump on the walls and everything. And then it only went south from there. And so now they're going back to the last place they actually made a good multiplayer game, and that's Black Ops. So I think that's the reason. And also when they don't gonna make a single player game, because the Black Ops single player games wasn't anything special. It was they made a little money there because you could kill Castro in Black Ops 1, so that was cool. It was controversial, and so that's it. And
give me a Cyberpunk
for a multiplayer game. Black Ops is gonna. I think it's the last chance to make a great multiplayer, and I think they're gonna make it with this one.
I hope so. I'll play it. I'll get it. Are you doing PS4 or PC, man?
Black Ops 1.
If we get Black Ops 4,
PC.
Okay, we'll go PC.
Yeah.
trying to
Nothing
learn
more
how to use
else.
it. Okay, yeah, like John said, there's something I added on at the end. PUBG's gonna introduce map choice. So you can select maps that are in the you can still have a rotate because there's going to be a third map coming out, and I'm guessing this will launch with the third map. But you can like select which ones you want. So you can just choose one, say I just want this map every time, or you can say, well, I like this map and this map, but not this one. So you can just kind of select which ones you want, and then it'll just randomly pick it. But that'll bring me back to PUBG. I will play it a bit more if I get to choose a map.
It's just too bad it did it 3 months too late.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got bored 3 months ago. I think it was.
Because if they did this in in January
Mm-hmm.
or around that
Maybe,
time,
yeah.
did they release it in January or December? The new map.
Oh, I think it was ages ago, wasn't it? PUBG said
I think it was January, right over New Year's. Anyway, if they released it with the optional back then, they wouldn't have lost that many players to Fortnite.
Looking at that, like people desert it. Apparently, it's coming up saying nobody likes it. Oh no, PUBG Desert Map, Miramar, not PUBG Desert Mega. The map, they're not leaving it. But yeah, I don't like that one.
Just by a rule, all game companies don't take away options from players. That's a no.
And do what? Just things when you're gonna when you have another map in a battle royale game, people are always gonna prefer one. And because they spend quite a long time on a map, they're going to really only want to play one map. So just improve on the one you've got, I'd say. Like, that's what Fortnite's doing. Just keep doing that. Don't introduce another one because people will be like, well, I actually prefer that one. So when you get the one you don't want, they'll moan. Gamers always moan.
If a map dies, then let it die.
Yeah, get rid of it. Sack everyone. Any more news, Jordan?
No, that is it for the news. There's been no more news.
Ooh. All right.
Nice.
Well, we're not doing any questions.
Labo's out, but I haven't got it, so I don't know if you guys have. So probably not much we can say on it.
I hear it's good. I hope people like it. I'm going to be playing a game this Tuesday that's out called Frostpunk, which looks cool. It's made by the same people that did this one.
I bet they hate God of War right now because like it doesn't seem like anybody's really talking about Labo because everybody's talking about God of War. It's bad timing for them, really.
That was really bad. Miko in the chat says, "Don't bother."
Anything about We Happy Few?
Yeah, I've played it.
Is it good? It's an early access, so there's no way to
The
buy
early
it
access
right
was
now?
really fucking bad.
It is? Okay.
When I saw the trailer for that game years ago, and it kind of gave me a bit of a Bioshock vibe, but in like a dystopian UK setting, I was totally up for it. It starts off really strong with the story stuff, and then it spits you out into this procedural survival game, which is just terrible, absolutely terrible. So I think the game itself is a survival game versus the narrative experience that the trailer showed off. It was a while ago that I played the early access.
And it's an open world. It doesn't look like it would be an open world.
Like I said, it's like a procedural open world.
Okay.
Hopefully it comes together, and I think that the plan is to build more story stuff into it. The setting that they create and the story is horrible, and in a good way. I was totally into it as like a dystopia setting. But yeah, the main thrust of the gameplay was real ropey. And they kind of just went away for a while. They kind of just went away when they released the early access and said, "Okay, yep, cool. We know this is bad. We'll try and fix it." So hopefully it's good now. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
cool.
All right. We're gonna call it a day, and we'll be back with the Twitch Play podcast. We'll be back next Sunday, 9 p.m. as always. And we'll see Jordan back for the serious Click Play in 2 weeks. Every week we switch it around with the Twitch Play or Click Play. Jordan, how do we find you if we want to contact you and tell us how wrong you are about Gears of War? God of War? I always call it Gears of War.
I haven't given an opinion on Gears of War. I doubt anybody's going to disagree with God of War, but if you want to, come to Twitter, JRDNRWS. I tweet about UK domestic politics and video games. We can chat if you like.
At him.
Yeah, at him. Melum, how do we find you if we want to Brokey Mustache virtually?
Oh, then you have to come to me.
Yeah, but virtually.
Yeah, I'm Mellow Man everywhere.
Oh, Mellow everywhere. That is.
Twitch and
It's a different website.
Twitter and
Nice. You've managed to get that brand. Yep, it's in the chat. And if you want to find me, you're already here. It's twitch.tv/BiggusBennus. I'm BiggusBennus everywhere except for Twitter. I'm BiggusBennus1 on there. And yeah, I'm gonna be probably starting the stream again. I'm gonna take a little break just to get something to eat, and yeah, I'm just gonna have something to eat and get ready. But I'm probably gonna play some Overwatch and maybe God of War later on. So thanks around. If you stick around, we'll send a host over to Matthias, who we were streaming with earlier. So send him some love, and I'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
am I waving to nothing again?
Yeah, it's let me just find it
Nice.
and cancel it.